to you by Pfizer.
In this video, you're going to see the future.
U.S. Treasury is higher.
Breaking news. We've got a livestock there.
Hello, you Awakening Wonders. Thanks for joining me today for Stay Free with Russell Brand on Rumble and Rumble Premium. Wherever you're watching us, come over here and join us. Remember, if you support us on Rumble Premium, it helps me to buy new sunglasses. For just $500, we can keep Russell Brand in sunglasses. We'll be bringing you a whole host of new items, like our new item, cancelled. How would these stars have fared in today's cutthroat culture, where not only is Kanye West cancelled and Russell Brand cancelled, admittedly these are controversial characters, but also people like Gary Lineker are cancelled and Jerry Seinfeld is cancelled. We are all cancelled now. But remember, those of us that are on the side of the cancelled, ultimately, we're the people that were saying, hey, you might want to be careful taking that COVID jab, stuff like that. I'm not saying neatly and uniquely and exclusively and excessively. Thanks for the compliment, Tard with Hard. I want to say thank you to all of you that have joined us from Timcast. Someone said, Colorado Watch goes, Timcast flushed its toilet into our chat. Get over here. Get over here from Mug Club. Get over here from Greenwald. Get over here, all of you. If you're watching us on X, join in the chat. Turn off Alex Jones, who's doing his never-ending X telethon, and focus on us. Russell, wearing shades like Sir Elton John. Yes, my ears are straight. I'm straight. The world is straight. Things are getting complicated out there. This is China. China have got an aeroplane so big it ejaculates smaller aeroplanes into the sky. Get ready for global holy war, where the mighty priapic warlord cock of China will be ejaculating smaller planes into all of us. While we quibble about who might not be a racist and a rapist, China are getting ready for not holy war, because they're an atheistic nation, although there's more Christians there than anywhere else in the world, apparently. Makes you wonder. Let's have a look at some AI footage. Oh, this is AI footage of the mothership. Not Joe Rogan's Comedy Club, the new... It's weird that Joe Rogan preempted that name, isn't it? But this is AI footage of it. Let's check it. Get ready, bitches! I remember when it was just like they were doing like fat Americans making Nike trainers in a sweatshop, and like sort of that was their mocking memes. Now it's like, we got planes that jizz littler planes. We shoot dicks out of our dick. What are you gonna do? What are you gonna do, America? Well, we've stopped saying that there's no such thing as penises and vaginas. We've stopped saying that. So is that gonna help? Maybe not. Maybe not. Anyway, listen, we've got a lot to get through, baby. If you're a Rumble Premium member, we'll stay with you a little bit longer. We've got an hour to unravel the complexity of the world, and what a complex world it is. In my country, the UK, they've backed out of Brexit, so we'll be talking about that. Also in my country, they're refusing to let that lady out of jail that they banged up for posting something on Facebook. We are right in it now. We're in it, baby. Paul Schobart, ever optimistic in the Rumble chat, probably not too hard to shoot down such a massive plane. I don't know, mate. I don't know much about such matters, but I would say an advancing and increasingly militarized China would be a factor to consider when forming all of our political ideas, when forming all of our positions, particularly in this sort of nihilistic, hollow, empty, godless, filthy world that people seem pretty keen to elect. Over in the UK, Tommy Robinson, who as far as I can tell was jailed for contempt of court. He was jailed really because they made that documentary that talked about the nature of grooming gangs and rape gangs in the UK. And even if you think that Tommy Robinson's particular brand of patriotism, nationalism, working class abrasiveness has no place on the saturated and sterile new global stage, there's a little thing called justice in this world and a little thing called free speech. And I suppose you can get rid of those concepts if you get rid of God, right? If nothing's sacred, nothing's sacred. And here it is. Tommy Robinson Tommy Robinson. His real name's Stephen Yaxley Lennon. They love saying that. They love saying that his real name is Stephen Yaxley Lennon. They never miss that opportunity. It's like, fuck, Tommy Robinson is a good brand name. Don't let him have that. Remind people that he's called Stephen Yaxley Lennon. Thing is, Tommy Robinson is a working class man from a working class community, specifically Luton. Luton is one of those towns that is suffering as a result of cultural collision. Myself, guess what? This will never get reported, it's too complex. But I believe there is a way that Muslim communities and indigenous white working class communities in the UK could get along, and that it's still possible to have proper migration policies and border controls and house non-Christian or non-white populations successfully and collegiately. I believe in that. I believe that different tribes of people can live together successfully. I also know for a stark cast iron, piercing fact like a dagger in the side that people in power benefit when working class white people hate the embedded Muslim community. And I know that there is a way for followers of the Quran and followers of the Bible and followers of the Torah to get along. In fact, there is no alternative. I'm certainly not making claims that a one world religion or a one world government could or should work. That's literal antichrist conduct right there. But we have to find a way of allying. We really do, baby. We really do. And Tommy Robinson, he's got the mic, man. You can't argue with it. If people want Tommy Robinson, then Tommy Robinson it is, baby. Telegram's Pavel Durov follows up about the claim about French intelligence meeting. You know that France were interfering in Romania's election. You know that Britain have capitulated after the British population voted for Brexit. Keir Starmer's Labour government has walked it back. Russell, you're in denial. I ain't in denial. I ain't. I'm in a vivid, bright light, ESP Traces. I believe in humanity. I believe in God. I believe in it. I believe that the only way we're going to confront the truly evil forces that pull the strings in this world is from a position of unity, acceptance, and grace. If you are participating in tribalism from any side, they've got you. They've got you. Well, I don't believe in this particular argument. I don't believe in this particular idea. Are you denying that you're in denial? Damn it, you've got me in infinite regress. You got me in infinite regress, Shoba, you sweet son of a bitch. Okay, let's see, though, because what's probably more important than me and stuff I say on Rumble and the internet is the way that people in positions of actual power are behaving, and the EU are, it looks like, manipulating elections. Here's a couple of examples. The one in Romania, where they got rid of the candidate that was winning and going to win and started cancelling and recalling and recanting elections. Brexit, where the British people voted to get the hell out of the EU, and now Keir Starmer's reversed it. It's appalling and atrocious what's going on. People do not believe in democracy. What they believe in is reason. And when and what I mean by reason is their set of ideals coordinated to back up their agenda and their objectives, which they will claim is unsullied by bias and prejudice. Paul Durov is the dude that owns Telegram, who got arrested in France, remember? French foreign intelligence confirmed they met with me allegedly to fight terrorism and child porn. In reality, child porn was never even mentioned. They did not want IPs of terror subjects in France, but their main focus was always geopolitics, Romania, Moldova, and Ukraine. You know what they do, don't you? What they find is some undeniable principle and idea that only a madman would argue with. Like, you know, hey, you don't agree with child porn, do you? Well, of course I don't agree with child porn. Child porn's terrible. The very definition of a child is it's a person that can't participate in sex. That's what we mean by child. That's what child means. Good. Right, so we're in agreement there. So, in order to fight this problem of child porn, we need limitless control over your ability to transact, communicate, and convey information. And if you don't agree with that, what you agree with is child porn. Well, I've got some follow-up questions. Aren't there paedophile rings redolent and strewn through the corridors and institutions of power in every institution of government in the world? It's kind of starting to seem like it. Don't miss our Pizzagate special coming up next week, where we will look in depth into the Pizzagate scandal, which is not what you've told, not what you've been told it was. Of course, in any inverted commas conspiracy theory, there are peripheral details and simplifications that make the whole idea ludicrous, ridiculous, and outrageous. But often, if you look at it diligently, you will discover that there actually are massive child trafficking operations going on all around the world, and children going missing all over the world, and potentially children born into sexual slavery. Let's have an investigation and an inquiry into that, seeing as how we're investigating it. Okay, so do you think that Pavel Durov is being investigated because, look, when they arrested him, do you imagine that was to protect you and help you, or do you think that they're trying to shut down any potential avenue where truth and communication can take place, whether that's Rumble, X, Telegram? Right, let's have a look at this. Dan Bongino has posted about the Epstein suicide. We covered this a little bit yesterday. Bongino, the new deputy over at the FBI, formerly Rumble's most notorious and successful streamer, posted this yesterday. Let's have a look. I haven't done any... All right, let's get into it. I haven't done any media interviews to this point because I want to keep your attention on the work. I don't work for myself anymore. I work for you. What I will say about Dan Bongino is he's completely sincere. When I've met him, when I've been on his show and when he came on this show, long before there was any notion, as far as I could tell, that he might be a person given a incredible role in deep state law enforcement, I could tell that he was a good guy, just in the same way that, I don't know, can we to some degree rely on ourselves, on our spidey senses, can we? It's too important to you to relate what we're doing, and the media can be a tool for that. But it is important to relate to you what we're doing, and the media can be a tool for that. That's why we chose a long-form interview with Maria Bartiromo for our first interview. I hope you saw it. If you missed it, here are some of the questions that were asked and answered. Yes, we are moving FBI headquarters out of the Hoover building. The process has already begun. Stay tuned. I was asked about some of the details surrounding the Jeffrey Epstein case. I reviewed the case. Jeffrey Epstein killed himself. There's no evidence in the case file indicating otherwise. I'm not asking you to believe me or not. I'm telling you what exists and what doesn't. If new evidence surfaces, I'm happy to reevaluate. Now, all right. Have you, by any chance, watched the film A Few Good Men? I'm pressing stop very passionately over here, Isaac. Have you seen the film A Few Good Men? If you haven't, you should watch it, because what it helps you to understand is law and the judiciary are a theatre, and the idea of justice can become abstract if we are not devout and righteous people, and that the law is about what you can prove rather than about what's right. So I would note that even in the wording there, Bongino is, you can't handle the truth. Actually, I can, because I have to, and I do. So that's what I've learned lately. In fact, that's why suffering, that's why pain, so that you can handle the truth. It's not good. The truth is not good. It's pretty fucking heavy, and you really need God if you're going to go anywhere near it. Indeed, you will note now that I've told you, surely, if you didn't know already, that there's obviously a universal law and universal truths, because any movie you watch, now that you know this, is between a protagonist who is trying to obey a code, inverted commas, a code, and an antagonist who denies the existence of that code, or at least the supremacy of that code. And the protagonist code will always be about righteousness and good, therefore God. You could certainly collapse that idea into God. And the antagonist will always be saying the false idol or the self-appointed God takes supremacy. And of course, A Few Good Men fits absolutely into that paradigm. Now, back to Bongino's post there, asset number 5, thanks very much. Note his wording. There's no evidence in the case file indicating otherwise. Now, what I would decode from that is that whoever investigated the suicide of Jeffrey Epstein knew well enough not to put any evidence that indicated that it was a suicide, that it was a murder, into that case file. And now Dan Bongino lives in another world. He don't live in the world I live anymore, splashing about in the sweet stream of conjecture and opinion. He lives in the empirical, evidence-based world of the FBI, and he has to behave in accordance with his role. In the same way that a judge adorns themselves with robes and sits beneath the crest of that nation in order to indicate to you clearly that they operate and speak on behalf of a higher authority, Dan Bongino now has different responsibilities. Different responsibilities. I was challenged on accountability. It's a fair question. I aggressively responded because the director and I have been working tirelessly to uncover the bad actors. We cannot get into HR specifics, and this creates an information vacuum. Unfortunately, bad actors are looking to tell you a story, not the story. We want you to believe they haven't taken harsh and decisive action against rogue employees. That's absolutely false, and the bad actors know it. We were asked about FBI priorities. The director and I told Maria that the president, the attorney general, the director and I are absolutely committed to getting your FBI back to its roots. We will make your community safer. Illegal immigration ops, child sex crime investigations, 764 cases and violent criminal fugitive apprehensions are all on our expanding radar. And while America is enjoying the summer, we're already planning a massive operation to clean up your streets. The counter-terror and counter-intel missions are critical and will continue at our customary high tempo too. This is what you pay us for. God bless America, and all who defend her. Okay, what do I take from that? Again, once you're inside the power structures, you have different responsibilities. For sure, Dan Bongino now knows things that he cannot explicitly say. I actually know things that I can't explicitly say. So Lord alone knows what Dan Bongino is privy to now. The reason you can't just say everything is because the law is about what you can prove, not about what you believe. That is an extraordinary position when you consider that God requires faith. It requires the motion of faith, the surrender of personal will, the acceptance of a higher authority. Me, I don't have those obligations, and I would say Epstein, who benefits from Epstein dying? Well, everybody that had something to lose if Epstein were to remain alive and face trial. That's who, isn't it? That's who. And one can assume that's some extremely powerful individuals. And probably at this point, to acknowledge that there are powers in this world that can have you killed while you're in jail. Man, I don't know, man. Because someone's like, it seems like Trump is so sort of slash and burn, doesn't it? Like that guy's literally posting, that guy, Mr. President to me, is posting Hillary Clinton and the Clintons unaliving people content, right? It's interesting. Who do you think looks scared? Bongino, Darth Castellana. He looked like he's weighted, I would say. Like he's a brave dude, isn't he? Like he's been in NYPD and secret or special services or secret service like that, you know. Look, I would say to you this, there's a limit to what even good men can achieve in bad systems. Right? Don't you think? There's a limit. There's a limit. Is that what you would say? Is that what you would say? Trump is now fearless. Okay. Well, so me on that Bongino thing, like based on sort of my experience with Dan Bongino, he's a really good guy. He's a really good guy. Like, so I find it hard in some ways to imagine someone more different than me, than Dan Bongino. But I also felt a respect for him when I meet him. And when I say respect, I don't mean fear just because he's like sort of probably a really good fighter. I mean like, no, he's decent. He has a decency to him. And if what I would focus on in that post is evidence. That's what matters in law. That's that we're in a really weird game now, everyone. We're in a really, really weird game now. Oh, guys. So sorry, every so often I look over at the chat and there's some weird shit going on. All right, so listen to this. This you'll like. You're like this, right? Because, hey, if it's like, well, on one hand, Dan Bongino is restricted by the burdens of his incredible responsibility as deputy head of the FBI. Can you imagine what it's like? That's why I think when people talk about, say, Elon Musk, I feel like, well, how would you get on with that amount of power? Do you think you'd be, how well do you think you'd do? How well do you think you'd do? Russell, I'm going to join Rumble Premium just because of your show, you crazy wanker. Do it. Rugdo, do it. Join Rumble Premium here. Put the details down there. You should be supporting us. We're going to make a lot more content. We've got a lot to say. Okay. So, like, whether it's Dan Bongino and his new role or Elon Musk and his incredible responsibilities, some of us don't know what burdens come. It's sort of Damocles, isn't it, ultimately? It's sword of Damocles. You don't know that the person in the position of power has a sword suspended above their head. They make an error. It hangs by a thread. They are dead. That's the position that people in positions of power are in. That's why the ultimate power, Christ Jesus, has to fearlessly face total annihilation and death, take on board all of our sin, be immolated and destroyed, because you have to show that that's what you're capable of in order to be God and in order for us to be redeemed. Assassin says, Russell, you're wrong this time. Go on, bring your receipts and we'll work it out. Rhyme for reason, much harsher view. You are a lying 33 loving faggot. Okay. Lying, probably true. Inevitably, I lie sometimes. 33 loving, do love 33. Faggot in this context, do you mean, I think, homosexual? That, in this instance, is not true. But were it true, I would warrant love and acceptance and respect. Now then, let's have a look at this. You'll like this because Zero Hedge, now that the White House press briefings allow independent media in, then as a result of that, you got like people asking crazy questions like, what do you think about all the Clinton body count and Epstein ties to Israel? So let's have a look.
Thank you. And my only other question for you is, so over the weekend, President Trump posted Truth Social a video highlighting what most people call the Clinton body count, which is the strange number of suicides that seem to happen in Clinton circles. I have a headline here from the Washington Post that said, Trump peddles false conspiracy theories tying the Clintons to several deaths. So I just wanted to highlight real quick, this wasn't in Trump's video, but this is from the Arkansas Times. And it's the death of Mark Middleton, who was a former Clinton White House aide, who was found dead on a Clinton Foundation property. And I'll just quote from the Arkansas Times. Middleton apparently shot himself in the chest with a shotgun and also hung himself from a tree with an extension cord. So I have no idea how somebody commits suicide that way, but if the Washington Post is here, maybe you can enlighten us as to how that was actually a suicide. So anyways, that's just a lead into my question about the most famous Clinton-related suicide, which is that of Jeffrey Epstein. There's still a lot of questions around that case. You've released phase 1 of the Epstein files. What was missing from that is any connection to his ties to intelligence agencies, and that's really the whole story, that not just trafficking young girls, but doing it on behalf of intelligence agencies, and even potentially as part of a blackmail ring with potential ties to the Israeli government. So for phase 2, when can we expect it? Will it have information pertaining to those aspects of the Epstein case? I know the Attorney General has committed to releasing those files. I would defer you to the Department of Justice on her timeline, but when she has made a promise in the past, she has kept it, and I'm certain that she will in this case as well.
Okay, fair enough, fair enough. It's good to see those questions at least asked. Now, the frame of the cultural conversation is shifting, isn't it? Now those questions get asked. They don't get it. Well, I don't know if you'll see results, because maybe the reason the Dan Bongino thing is interesting is even when you have almost all-star Harlem Globetrotter appointments, like, well, wouldn't it be amazing if RFK was the head of the HHS? Wouldn't it be amazing if Dan Bongino is deputy head of the FBI? There are still liabilities, conditions, and systemic controls that likely inhibit, prohibit, mask, and control the amount of information that can be released. Again, I draw your attention to his use of the word evidence, which is important. Now, have a look at this. This is one of my favorite shows, Blackadder. In this episode, Blackadder has been court-martialed and jailed for the murder of a pigeon. Now, it turns out he did do it. He did actually murder this pigeon, but he talks about the perfect lawyer to employ. Have a look at this.
All All settled in and happy, are we then, sir? Written all our last goodbyes.
Oh, no need for that, Perkins. I've just dashed off a couple of notes, one asking for a sponge bag, and the other sending for my lawyer.
Oh, your lawyer, yes, sir. Now, don't you think that might be a bit of a waste of money, sir?
Not when he's the finest mind in English legal history. Ever heard of Bob Massingbird?
Oh, yes, indeed, sir. A most gifted gentleman.
Quite. I remember Massingbird's most famous case, the case of the bloody knife. A man was found next to a murdered body. He had the knife in his hand. 13 witnesses had seen him stab the victim. And when the police arrived, he said, "I'm glad I killed the bastard." Massingbird not only got him off, he got him knighted in the New Year's honours list, and the relatives of the victim had to pay to have the blood washed out of his jacket.
I hear he's a dab hand at the prosecution as well, sir.
That joke, the relatives had to pay to have the blood washed out of his jacket. Like that, this a lawyer is a storyteller. All of us are storytellers in our way. As they say, the world's not made of molecules. The world is made of stories, i.e. we project reality onto matter. It is not inhered deliberately and objectively with the qualities that we claim, but we may alter it. And a lawyer can turn a vicious murder into a situation where you can get the blood washed out of your jacket at the expense of the victim's family. Sweet. Now, I love this part of it as well, the prosecution. Any of you that don't know about Oscar Wilde, Oscar Wilde was a Irish genius and playwright and wit who challenged the mores of the time with his extravagant homosexuality. I don't know if his homosexuality was extravagant, but certainly his campness was extravagant. He was married to a woman, had kids, but had a bunch of affairs with guys. And he ended up in jail for sodomy because he had an affair with the literal son of the Marquis of Queensberry. And the Marquis of Queensberry set out the rules for professional boxing and pugilism, which remain to this very day. So imagine if you are the guy who's so into boxing that you actually are the person that decides what the rules are for professional boxing, and you find out that the world's gayest man is having sex with your son. You would be annoyed, and the Marquis of Queensberry was annoyed, and it led to the famous trials of Oscar Wilde. And Wilde was magnificent in these trials, apparently, treating it like a kind of theatre, playing to the gallery, making quips, epithets, epigrams, bon mots and jokes galore throughout the proceedings, but ultimately being jailed in Reading, England for 4 years for indecent acts, homosexuality, sodomy, et al. This destroyed Wilde, and he died impoverished in Paris, France. And as his dying words, the great and brilliant man said, "This wallpaper," referring to his bedsit, "is terrible. One of us has to go." He went out on a quip. He was a great, great genius and a great, great man. Here in Blackadder, there's an exquisite joke. Check it.
And at the prosecution as well, sir.
Yes, well, look at Oscar Wilde.
Oh, butch Oscar.
Exactly. Big, bearded, bonking butch Oscar. The terror of the ladies, 114 illegitimate children, world heavyweight boxing champion, and author of the best-selling pamphlet, Why I Like to Do It With Girls. And Massingbird had him sent down for being a whoopsie. Baldrick, anything from Massingbird yet?
Yes, sir, just arrived, sir.
What is it?
A sponge bag, sir.
A sponge bag.
Yes, sir.
Baldrick, I gave you 2 notes. You sent the note asking for a sponge bag to the finest mind in English legal history.
Certainly did, sir.
And you sent the note requesting legal representation to...
Well, tally-ho with a bing and a ball and a buzz, buzz, buzz.
Oh, God.
I say, first of all, sir, that I am deeply, deeply honoured.
Baldrick, I'll deal with you later.
Amazing. Brilliant joke. Also, brilliant insight into the nature of the law and some good, what they call it, retconning for the story of Oscar Wilde. Now, hey, listen, if you're watching us on YouTube, we're leaving you. Yeah, we're not playing no ads because we just taped them, right? Yeah, one. Okay, well, let's check out this. Let's have a quick look at this. And when we come back, there's a brilliant bit of analysis here where the great historian Jeffrey Sachs points out that all the world's problems go back to the British. Then we're going to look at Biden's cancer and how predictably Biden's cancer is being used to obfuscate facts and negligence during his presidency, Trump and Putin, Bernie Sanders, and mind control. So much more. Click the link in the description. Join us over on Rumble. That wasn't a laugh track, actually. They used to shoot in front of an audience, so it's